Hello, beautiful people. Yanni the Re here, and welcome back to my channel. On my channel, we discuss healing topics, okay? We are trying to heal ourselves for the year of 2026, okay? If you're not healed, it's not giving pretty, okay? I'm sorry. Pretty girls heal. Now, anyhow, what are we healing from today? We are healing from narcissistic abuse. Narcissistic abuse is, in my personal experience, one of the most challenging things to heal from, because it's not about getting over a relationship. It's about recovering from psychological conditioning. It's about recovering from identity erosion. What is identity erosion? Identity erosion is when you have lost your sense of self, right? You have lost your sense of purpose. That's the whole purpose. That's the whole game that the narcissist plays, is to remove you from your purpose and your identity, right? And you also have to recover from emotional manipulation. And it is it is very psychologically damaging, and it can drive you crazy if you let it. So it takes a lot of effort, it takes intention, but it is absolutely possible to come out stronger, better, and badder than ever with clearer and more guided sense of self. So this is a breakdown of how the healing works with narcissistic abuse. One, you have to really understand what happened. This is the foundation of it all, okay? So narcissistic abuse, it often includes gaslighting. What is gaslighting? Gaslighting is when someone tries to make you think that your reality is not real. So I married a narcissist, and I had a friend who was a covert narcissist. And anytime I would ask them about something that I knew for a fact happened, they would, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Literally making you doubt your own reality. That is gaslighting, okay? Also, what happens is love bombing. Oh my God. And this does not necessarily have to be like a sensual or sexual thing. Friends love bomb. I want to be your friend. Oh, bestie. Like, all of that is love bombing. When you meet a fan who wants to be a friend, that is a love bomber, okay? So they love bomb you, then they try to devalue you, and then they try to discard you, right? So they love bomb you, they try to make you feel like you're all of this and all of that, right? And then when you actually start calling them out on their shit, they start to devalue you, right? And they try to make you feel less than. Baby, you can never bring me down. The only reason why you're trying to bring me down is because you're just trying to make me get to your level. You know what I mean? So keep that in mind, y'all. Narcissists, they're not all as cracked up as they think they are. There's this grandiose sense of self when it comes to a narcissist, and there is I think it's a borderline personality disorder, honestly, truly, because I've never met a narcissist who is actually, truly a good person. Now, the facade looks like they're a good person, but the deep down, the inside, filthy, disgusting, dirty, okay? So, narcissistic abuse often includes gaslighting, love bombing, devaluation, right? And then discarding. And then emotional inconsistency. And that emotional inconsistency, that's what creates the trauma bonds. I had the worst habit of trauma bonding with people. I am only interested in healthy relationships now. I do not want to bond with people over trauma. It's rare that I actually share details of my trauma with anyone nowadays, because people use that as a way to bond with you and love bomb you, okay? So understand what happened. This is the foundation, all right? Narcissistic abuse includes gaslighting, love bombing, devaluation, discarding, okay? And then emotional inconsistency. So why does this matter? Why does any of this matter? Because you're not too sensitive. You're not crazy. Your brain literally has adapted to survive confusion and instability. Your brain has literally adapted to survive to confusion and instability. So instead of saying like, why did I stay? When you look back on a narcissistic relationship, you need to ask yourself, what was I conditioned to tolerate? What was my body, my nervous system, my mind, my soul, what was that conditioned to tolerate, right? And then when someone asks you, was it really that bad? You need to start asking, why are you trying to minimize the harm, right? Like, a narcissist will love to try to minimize the amount of harm and damage that they did to you. It is truly the most sickening thing to see. Now, I've seen some sick shit in my life, trust me, but watching a narcissist just minimize the damage that they cause to someone, oh, y'all, it makes me sick to my stomach, okay? Now, 2, after you've understood the foundation, you've solidified the foundation, you need to break the trauma bond. You need to break it, okay? So what does that look like? Because you might still miss them. You might still crave validation. You might feel addicted to the highs and the lows, right? So what does breaking the trauma bond look like? Well, this is what helps me. Baby, I go no contact. I will ghost you. I don't care about having a conversation. There's no point in reasoning or having any like logical conversations with a narcissist. It's actually impossible. It's impossible to reason with a narcissist. Their whole goal is to get you revved up, is to get your energy. You know what I mean? Narcissists are also energy vampires. So keep that in mind for the spiritual people out there. Narcissists are most definitely energy vampires. So when you are actually removing yourself, right, and you are breaking that trauma bond, you need to realize that whatever you were feeling, you know, the missing them, the addiction to the highs and the lows, the craving the validation, that's not love. That's dopamine and cortisol, right? That's a dopamine and a cortisol loop, okay? So what helps with that? No contact, removing triggers. Baby, I will delete all photos. Delete your number, delete your photos. I don't want anything. Block you on social media. I don't want to see you. I don't want you breathing my air. Get away from me, okay? You disgust me. And then what also helps is journaling. Like, you can list down what hurt you because it actually puts, it gives you a clear visualization, right? Instead of like thinking back on what happened and reliving those moments and bringing up the PTSD, write it down a little bit, right? Write down a reality list of what actually hurt you, right? That helps to break that bond. Because when you think about everything that they've done to hurt you, why would you want to be bonded and tied to someone like that? You know what I mean? Okay. 3, for me personally, I had to rebuild my sense of self. And that looked differently, you know, as I evolved and as I healed, right? So you got to remember that narcissistic abuse, it often makes you lose confidence. You kind of forget who you are. Like, baby, I forgot I was a bad bitch. I was like, oh my God. Looking in the mirror one day, I was like, well, damn, still got it. You know what I mean? Like, you have to remember who you are. You lose confidence. You over-apologize for things. And you start to question your instincts, right? That takes me back to the prior video about how to heal from betrayal, right? Because you create this hypervigilance and you're super paranoid and you think that everyone is out to get you, right? So it makes you question your instincts. But you gotta remember that in this process, you have to start small. You cannot start with like these large gestures. Start small by 1, making decisions without seeking validation. Baby, I just make decisions. I don't announce my moves. I don't tell people what I'm about to do. You don't pay my bills. So what do I need to tell you anything for? I consult with God. I consult at the altar with my ancestors, and I start making moves without any validation from any other human being, okay? Journal. Journaling helps, y'all. You can write down, what do you feel? What do you want? How do you want to feel? What would you like in the future? You know what I mean? Start thinking forward as you write. And then reconnect with things that you did before. When I left my narcissistic husband, narcissistic friendships, I started to actually put my energy into things that I forgot about. You know what I mean? And I also started to hone more in on my spirituality and getting closer with God and getting closer with my Orishas and developing a stronger sense of self and purpose. So you have to start small. 4. Those were 3 steps, okay? Here's step 4. You need to regulate your nervous system. Your nervous system is shot, love. Narcissistic abuse literally destroys your nervous system. Your body, it literally feels like you're still in danger. Like, your body literally still feels like you are in danger physically. So, like, what does that look like, right? If we paint a picture of what it looks like, anxiety, constant overthinking, hypervigilance, like I said in the how to heal from betrayal video, and then emotional exhaustion. Like you are emotionally exhausted after dealing with a narcissist. Child, don't have a baby with a narcissist, because listen, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. You understand? So, because the anxiety and like the hypervigilance and the emotional exhaustion, it kind of falls up into that like mental health category. So you want to start grounding yourself, right? You want to start grounding yourself. There's deep breathing, you know. You can do like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, the 4, 7, 8 method, taking a walk without your phone, cold water on your wrist, on your face, and just like some simple stretching, okay? So when you are feeling like this overly anxious feeling and, you know, you're just like super paranoid, just ground yourself. Breathe, okay? Just breathe, okay? So those are some ways that you can regulate your nervous system while you're trying to heal from narcissistic abuse. And then I would say 5, and honestly, this one is, we're probably gonna hear this a lot on our healing journey, right? On this channel, we're gonna hear this a lot. You need to learn boundaries. Learn boundaries and set boundaries and stand firm on them without feeling any guilt or shame about it, okay? So when you are in a narcissistic relationship, you are pretty much trained to overgive. Your mind is trained to just give, and not really receive. Your mind is trained to ignore red flags and to just like act like it's normal. Your mind is trained to accept disrespect. So you have to learn boundaries, and you have to create this whole new mindset in order to heal from narcissistic abuse. So what does this new mindset look like now that you all big and bad with boundaries? It looks like knowing that boundaries are not a punishment. They are protection, right? And if anyone is not capable of understanding or respecting your boundaries, they do not need to be in your life. I don't care if it's your mama, your daddy, your cousin, your sister, your brother, your best friend, your second grade teacher. If they cannot respect your boundaries, they do not need to be in your life. So how do you practice this, right? No. You say no. You say, that actually doesn't work for me. You say, I'm not comfortable with that. That's not in alignment with what I'm doing. Let me think about that before I make a decision. You know what I mean? You have to set boundaries for yourself. Don't immediately just give someone a yes, right? 6, you need to find support. Now, it is challenging to do that because, like I said, you have developed this like over anxious, hyper vigilant mindset. And so it's hard to trust people, but healing in isolation really can slow you down. So you have to really learn how to trust yourself again, use your best judgment, and find a safe support system. You know, I think my safest support system was going to my Odishas and going to God, and then finding people that I connected with that were more in alignment with me. That's where I'm at. Like, if you're not in alignment with the assignment, get the fuck on. I don't want you over here breathing by me. Go somewhere, please, and thank you. So you have to make sure that you are finding support. So what does this look like? It can be a trauma-informed therapy group. It could be just an individual therapy session. I had a therapist, still go to therapy once in a blue moon, you know? Like, I had to go to therapy every week to help myself heal from narcissistic abuse. But as I started to heal, it went from every week to once a month, from once a month to once every 3 months, to once every 3 months to twice a year, you know what I mean? So gradually I began healing and needing it less, you know? And kudos to me, I'm very proud of that because maybe it was not easy. You also need to make sure that you are being cautious of anyone who is trying to rush your healing. Anyone who is trying to say like, well, you need to get over it. Well, you need to go step off that cliff. You understand? Don't let anyone rush your healing process. Your journey is yours and yours alone. And it doesn't matter how long it takes. You take as much time as you need, okay? It can take years to unravel narcissistic abuse, okay? then you need to be mindful of the people who try to minimize your experience, right? Most likely it will be another narcissist. So if somebody says, well, that actually wasn't that bad, in comparison to what I hit, let them go. Don't let them in your life, okay? Don't let those type of people in your life. And then if you have anyone who's encouraging you to go back to that relationship, or to even be friends with that person, or be cordial, or you know what I mean? Take that as they picked a side. You stay over there. When you pick a side with me, you gonna stay on that side forever. You understand what I'm saying? Because when we beef, baby, we beefing forever. There's no coming back over here. Because 10 times out of 10, it was your fault that it all fell apart. You understand what I'm saying? So you want to make sure that you are being very cautious of the type of people that you're surrounding yourself with when you are trying to create a safe support system. Now, 7, you need to understand that, like I said, and I think I said this in the first video, I can't remember, healing is not linear. So there's going to be ebbs and flows. There's going to be waves. 1 minute you're going to feel strong. The next minute you're going to feel weak. 1 minute you're going to miss them. The next minute you're going to wish they were dead. Right? So 1 minute you're going to be questioning everything. The next minute you're going to be so sure of yourself. You know what I mean? So you need to expect those emotional waves. Those are normal. Those are completely normal. And it doesn't mean that you're going backwards. It just means that your brain is processing. Okay? Sometimes it takes a while for your brain to process all the shit that you just endured. 8, and this is the final step. You need to reclaim your power. A narcissist can't stand when you get your power back, baby. And baby, no one will villainize you more than a narcissist whose mask has slipped off, okay? Next thing you know, you are the seed of Satan yourself, just for setting healthy boundaries for yourself. You need to be okay with that. You need to be okay with being the villain in people's story. You need to be okay with being the bad guy. You need to be okay with people thinking that, you were in the wrong, because narcissists are really good at wearing masks. So most narcissists portray themselves, like I said, to be good people. So then if you have already been conditioned to kind of be quiet and be meek and not really speak up for yourself, the narcissist has already painted the picture of who you are. You are the devil to the narcissist, right? And to whoever is involved, you could have been in a friend group and you have a narcissist with other narcissists and they've painted you to be the villain. You need to be okay with that. You need to be able to stand in your power. You need to be able to trust your intuition again. You need to make sure that you are paying attention to red flags early, not late. And you just need to choose your peace over chaos. That's what it really boils down to when it comes to reclaiming your power, is choosing peace over chaos. Like, I'm not going back and forth with the narcissist. That's literally that's a mental health illness at that point. Like, at this point, the delusion it's apparent. You know what I mean? Because narcissists can't reason with you. They don't take accountability. They want you to get revved up. They want to get that energy out of you. They want you to appear like you're crazy. And everybody's going to be like, oh, she's crazy. No, the narc is crazy. So know your truth. Stay firm in that truth and choose peace over chaos and drama, okay? And eventually, you'll feel better. You won't want them back. You won't need them back. You won't even recognize that version of you. Like, I don't even know who the hell I was 4 weeks, 4 months, 4 years ago. 4 years ago, because I'm constantly evolving. I have no peak. I'm constantly evolving. I'm constantly growing, right? Leaving that relationship and a plethora of other narcissistic relationships, I don't even remember who that girl was who stayed for so long, because I'm so solid in myself now, because I'm so secure in myself now, because I know who I am. And I know my story, and I know my truth, and I know what happened to me. And no one's gonna make me change my mind about that. You know what I mean? Not one person on this planet. So recognize the version of you that tolerated that and don't go back to that, okay? One last thing to hold on to. You did not lose yourself dealing with a narcissist. You adapted to survive, okay? And now you get to intentionally rebuild yourself. So there's joy in that. Find comfort in that, because you get to rebuild yourself. You get to be a whole new you, and not many people get that opportunity. And that is how we heal from narcissistic abuse. And to all the narcissists out there, y'all gonna burn.